And great. Good morning. My name is Deanna Palm. I'm the president of the Washington County Chamber of Commerce, and you have arrived at the Small Business Solution Series workshop, which is sponsored proudly by Hawthorne Farm Athletic Club. And I'm just going to check to see if Heidi has joined us yet to do her sponsor spotlight. If not, we'll catch her at the end, but we want to thank Hawthorne Farm for their support of this program. So today we're going to talk about small business marketing tips, tricks, and time savers. We've been hearing a lot from our small businesses that they've got just a number of plates they're trying to spin, and getting down to the marketing pieces of it and getting the word out about their business and rebuilding their customer base has been a challenge. So we have two phenomenal experts with us here this morning. We have Elizabeth Case with Yellow Dog Consulting and Titonian Wallace Jr. with Nesace Media to join us to talk about those types of opportunities, ideas, tips, and tricks, and small business marketing. But also, they're going to be leaving some time at the end to take your questions. And I think they'll probably let you know that they want this to be as interactive as possible, so that they're really kind of helping you solve your challenges. So that's what this is all about. Elizabeth and Titonian, good morning. And I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good morning. I don't know, Elizabeth, are you wanting to start first before we get started? Deanna, I am not junior.
You're the senior.
Junior is at school at Glencoe High School. Right?
And I'm gonna guess he's cuter than you too. I'm
yeah,
just gonna guess
he's supposed to be. They're supposed
senior.
Yeah.
My apologies. Thank you for that.
Or you could say the older ugly one. You know, that'll work.
I'm not going there.
The less handsome of the two. Nice. We're just digging this ditch as quickly as we can this morning. Good morning, everyone. Well, we're really excited to be here and talking with you. And as Deanna said, we do want to make this as interactive as possible. And so I think if you want to throw in the chat, where are your biggest struggles right now? Where are your biggest time sucks? Where are your biggest money sucks in your business? Where do you feel like I'm wasting all this time, I'm wasting all this money on X, or I'm just frustrated and don't know where to start with it? Because we want to make sure that as we are sharing some of our favorite tips and tricks with you, that we are also making sure that we're spending time talking about the right things and not just rambling down one hole that we think is right. So please feel free to throw those comments in the chat as we go through today, but would love to hear what's working, what's not working for you and your business. With that, we didn't really talk about where we want to start today.
Yeah. Well, if you want, I can go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
So we can get moving.
Yep, absolutely. We have a lot of things to cover here. So.
Yeah. Yes. All right, so I'm Titonian Wallace Senior, and like Elizabeth said, we have quite a bit to go through. And if you have extra things that have been bothering you or on your mind, definitely put them in the chat, and we'll try to address them. At some point during this presentation. But feel free at any time to raise your hand if you have a question. Drop a question in chat so we can better assist you. So one of my favorite places to start when I'm telling local businesses what can they do to help themselves be found or seen better, or more likely to be seen and found, my first suggestion is always to start with your Google My Business profile. And why do I say start with the Google My Business profile? The Google My Business profile, it's free to create a profile. It's critical for local search. It helps customers find you. And I'll say this word again, it's free to create. But why does this matter? Mainly, the higher your business shows up in local search, the more likely you are to gain new business. So a little bit about the Google My Business profile if you aren't familiar with it. And yeah, thank you, Elizabeth, for dropping that link. So your Google My Business profile is a powerful first step for local SEO purposes, which SEO we won't get into too much today. There's a lot, it encompasses a lot, but your Google My Business profile in conjunction with your website, the Google My Business profile is your first step for higher local ranking in local search. sorry, lost my spot here. So this profile allows your business to appear in local search results if someone types in keywords or search terms that's specific to your product or services. There are several tools within your GMB, Google My Business profile, to help you attract and inform local customers. For example, you can add your product list, accepted payment types, menus and prices, photos, and most importantly, Google reviews. But another thing, I think it's slipping my mind right now, product updates, photos, there was something else, it's slipping my mind.
I always love in Google that you can actually do real-time updates, like you can do a social media update. So I always add my latest blog posts and newsletters and other promotional posts that I'm putting on other social media channels. I always make sure I do that as well.
You definitely want to include promotional posts and offers on your Google My Business profile. And like Elizabeth says, if you have something going on, you share it more to just your local your other social media profiles. You have to share that on your Google My Business profile. One, it takes up more real estate on Google search when you show up, and that's what it's all about, being seen. And as you expand whatever services you use on your Google My Business profile, you start to take up more space on that local Google search, which makes it more likely that someone is to click on your business in order to find you and hopefully go to your website, sign up or visit you or call you or any of those. And most importantly, positive reviews for your business on Google. Though that's taken into consideration when determining to show your business or not. The more positive reviews you have, the better. The more positive reviews you have, the higher your website begins to rank in local Google searches. So that's one of the main starting points for a bit. And there is no real learning curve. The only thing that I think is an issue when trying to create your Google My Business profile is the verification process. Sometimes, especially if you have to send for that postcard from Google to come to your local business, I'm going to say over 50% of the time, you're not going to get it on the first request.
Accurate. Similar history with that. Yeah.
Not just for myself, but for clients as well. You may have to request that multiple times, especially if you can't do the phone verification and you have to receive the postcard. So just take that into consideration when you're starting the profile, but it's highly effective for local searches. It's highly effective for local businesses, for you to be seen on Google at no extra cost, no extra marketing budget required or anything. So that's where I say start your SEO and your local ranking right there first.
Go ahead, Deanna.
I was just going to say we have two questions in the chat specific to Google My Business.
Get that. Yep.
One is how often we should update and refresh, and the other one is it just for bricks and mortar, or if we don't have a bricks and mortar, is that a good spot for us as well?
Great question. Great questions. Okay, so I'll let Elizabeth jump in too after I answer them.
The third question was where I was going to jump in, so we're good.
Great. So I'm going to start with the second one. Is GMB recommended also for businesses that don't have a brick and mortar location? Absolutely. I don't have a brick and mortar location. I do have a Google My Business profile that ranks for specific local search terms. There's a little difference when you set it up. As far on the back end, when you're setting up that profile, Google will ask you, are you a location that people visit, or are you a services that, kind of delivers? I can't remember the wording because there's been so many.
Service area or something.
Service area. Do you have a service area or something like that? So you can select that, and you can make sure that your home address is not shown on your Google My Business profile, which is very important for businesses like mine and potentially the person that asks that question, because you probably have a PO box is where you have all of your business mail go to. I have that as well. You don't have customers or clients coming in physically to your location, so there's no reason to have your home, and it's your home. So you don't want that out there publicly to where random people are just showing up at your house and hey, I'm here for your services. That's not how your business is built or mine either. So yes, and it's still, I say still mandatory to have a Google My Business profile. So how often do you recommend updating? I recommend you optimize it from the get-go. Your name, address, phone number all have to be accurate, and it has to match what's on your website. If those do not match, you are going to get dinged a small penalty by Google to where your website will not rank as higher as it possibly could, because Google goes out and crawls and verifies that information and says, okay, we have the name, address, phone number here, but it doesn't match here. So when a local search is done, you're going to fall down if that information is not the same. And I know I've had several clients that seem to move every time, move often, within a year or so, and they fail to update their Google My Business address, and they fail to update the address on their website. You're shooting yourself in the foot when you do that. So you're not allowing that free tool to assist you to rank higher in Google. And Elizabeth, you can go ahead with the next one. I haven't read it. So.
Okay, so the next question was from Amy Lang about reviews and asking for a positive experience. And you had mentioned reviews, but getting them can be a real challenge. And reviews wasn't really something we had on our agendas to talk about today, but I'm glad you brought it up. I often find with my clients that when they say something nice, like in an email to me, like that was amazing, and I got 2 new clients, or I made blah, blah, blah from this month's newsletter, or whatever it was, that I'll say, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Would you copy and paste this and put it, and then give them the link and put it right here and give me a 5-star review? Or I will say something, I'll do it either for Google, or I also will do it for LinkedIn, depending on what the testimonial is. But when somebody says something nice to you right there on the spot, I always ask for it. You can also do review, look at what point in your business and your processes with clients it makes sense to ask for reviews. So like Beth Lewis is here, and I just was at Bluebeard the other night, and we got a follow-up email asking for a few different things. And that would be a great place. I can't remember, but that would be a great place to ask for reviews. Would you mind reviewing us on Google My Business or Facebook or whatever it is, wherever they're trying to rank for reviews? That's a perfect time of, you just had a great experience at this show. Had a great experience at Bluebeard, by the way. It was super fun. But you can just say, would you mind reviewing me here? So is it in an invoice? Is it at a certain point during a project? Is it at the end of the project? Is it after they've bought 2 things from your website? Like whatever it is, start looking at your processes and where it might make sense to have a client to ask a client for review, and then be thoughtful about it. Like if things are a little rocky, just because it's been 6 months doesn't mean you have to ask them for a review if they're not paying their bill on time and slow to respond to you on stuff. And I'm not talking from personal experience yesterday at all. So, it's like, find those times that are the right fit for you and trust your gut.
Yeah, and I like to add to that, and Elizabeth could probably speak to later. If you have a client email list to where you're doing newsletters per se, Yellow Dog Consulting, doing newsletters for your clients. If you maybe a little blurb somewhere within that newsletter itself, say, thank you for being a client for so long, blah, blah, blah. If you haven't had a chance to review us yet, here, go to this link, and this link, provide your Google My Business profile, your Facebook. What you'll recognize too on your Google My Business profile, on the search, on the Google page search itself, it will pull in some data from your Facebook reviews as well. So it's good to have reviews across both of those platforms to better assist your website ranking higher.
Should we transition to talk about newsletters?
Your turn. Yep.
Okay. Hey, thanks. I mean, I hijacked the review part, but so my favorite, so Titonian and I were totally in agreement about Google My Business. It was on my list as well, as we were kind of talking through all the tips and tricks. It is the perfect place to start. My totally biased opinion on free marketing is having a good email newsletter, building your list, talking to your audience. And I think we've seen more than ever in the last 2 years. I've spoken a couple of times at these Small Business Solution series. And so I am a broken record when it comes to email marketing, because it works, because it is a time saver. It is a money saver, because you're getting to talk to your audience. You're getting your name in their inbox when you are selling them something, when you aren't selling them something. You're just reminding them you're alive and kicking and in business. Here is the latest promotion we have going on. Here is what's going on in the business. Here's a cool project that I just finished. I am a certified MailChimp partner, so I am biased towards MailChimp, but they also have a free version. So it's free for up to 2,000 email addresses. So depending on your list size, it's a great place to be. They give you some recommendations and templates that you can build. You can hire folks to help you build those templates and design them and help you figure out the content for it. But I really recommend making sure you're paying attention to growing your list. And making sure that you are talking to your list regularly. I usually recommend monthly for that. So getting your name in their inbox on a regular basis so they remember that you are alive and kicking. And that is especially true, it's been especially true these last 2 years of, storefronts with change of hours, change of rules, masks are back on, vaccination status is needed, like whatever it might be, inventory is low, so shop early or whatever you guys need to be saying, but making sure that you're talking to them regularly and not just showing up every 6 months when you have a new product to sell, which is really easy to do. And we see it way too often where it's, I'm clearly desperate for business right now, buy my thing, I need you now. But if you can drip them, if you can talk to them on a monthly basis, that when you have some cool thing to share, something to sell, to talk to them about, that they're like, okay, yeah, they've been talking about how great they are. They've been sharing great information with me for months. I'm ready to hire them now. And it does happen. As far as growing your list, which seems to be the biggest challenge for folks, a few places I like to start are making sure that all your clients and customers are on your list. If they've purchased something from you, that they are getting on your list, adding them in there. Prospects, depending on your kind of business. So I do email marketing consulting. So anybody I have a conversation with about working with me ends up on my newsletter list. They end up on my newsletter list because that's part of my follow-up strategy, is that I'm not going to, if it takes 7 to 12 touches for somebody to hire you, like I'm not going to reach out 7 to 12 times to somebody individually and say, hey, are you ready to hire me? Hey, do you have any questions? Hey, are you ready to hire me? But my newsletter serves that 7 to 12 touches of, you're going to hear from me on a regular basis. And at any point you can unsubscribe if you don't want to hear from me anymore and I'm not the right fit for you and you've hired somebody else, that's fine. But that way they know I'm there and kicking. The other group I like to put on my list is referral partners. So who are those people in your network that are referring business to you? You want to keep them on your list because it's really easy for them to just forward that email on to their client and say, hey, this is that amazing web developer I was telling you about the other day that I think would be perfect for what you were talking about. Abby asked if I ask prospects before I add them to your list. So no. If I've had a conversation with them. So if we've had like a one-on-one to talk about working together, no, that's called implied consent, which is what MailChimp calls it. So you're just fine to add them if you've had conversations about it. Now, if you go to say a Wake Up Hillsborough and you get a bunch of business cards and you add them to your list, that's a dick move. Don't do that unless you specifically ask them to be added to the list. You want to make sure you're careful with that. Yes. Let's see. Isaac asked, can you share your top 3 tips for a business that has a list of contacts that hasn't sent anything to them yet? Ooh, top 3 tips for the first email to an email list. That's a great question. I guess the question is really, how old is that list? And then giving them a way to opt out. So encouraging them. I always am hesitant to say, welcome to my first monthly newsletter, because guaranteed 9 times out of 10, I am not going to see something the next month or 2 months later. Like it just drops. So I always say, don't tell them how frequently they're going to hear from you, because something's going to happen and all hell is going to break loose. And so I would say, make sure that you're educating, one thing I always say about newsletters is it's a great way to educate them on your awesomeness. So what are cool things that are going on in your business? What is a project that you just completed? What is a great testimonial from a client that you just got? What is a cool free download that you have? What is a great resource or your latest blog post that you can share? What are some cool tips and industry information? Depending on what you do, if you're not a writer, I think where people get stuck is if you don't write and you don't like to write, then you're like, why would I have a newsletter? But it can also be an aggregate of resources for you. So it can for clients. So here's some things that I'm reading lately in my industry, and you don't have time to read about that. But here's what I think is really important for you to know about the industry right now, and just being that resource for them. I have a client who does Salesforce consulting. And so he does that where it's here's the latest things going on in Salesforce so that his clients who use Salesforce don't have to go hunt through the website for all the latest and greatest. They know that John is sending them the top 5 things of the month. Okay, that was a lot of rambling. Sorry. How are we all doing? Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay. If there's no more questions about newsletters, which I know is a lot in a little bit of time, Titonian, do you want to talk about social media?
Sure. So,
Okay.
so we'll transition to social media. First, social media, depending on your business type, you have to decide what's the best platform for your business niche. Just because there are 15, 20 different social media networks doesn't mean you have to be on all of them, because one, it's going to take up a lot of time. And we'll try to share some tools that'll assist you with cutting some of that time down, which is free. Second, another point to make, social media on the surface does appear as a free resource for businesses to use. But I will tell you, for example, Facebook, once you build a Facebook business profile, a business page, you don't get the same reach that you normally do organically, posting organically on Facebook, because Facebook has a business model, which is pay to play, pay to reach, pay to be seen. You can have 1,000 followers on your Facebook business page, but because of the Facebook algorithm, you can only reach a certain amount. So I won't get too much into that digital marketing aspect, but just keep in mind that there's a little bit of work that you have to do to keep your pages up and running. So the importance of social media ties back to, once again, back to your Google ranking and your website ranking as well. There is an algorithm that Google uses. It goes out, scrapes everything, your website, goes out and sees, do you have social media profiles as well? If you don't, then you don't get a little boost for having that. If you do, but they're not active, you don't get a boost for that either. You have to, once you have your social media profiles, it's imperative that you maintain them or post on some sort of consistent basis, because it does help you with your local SEO as well. So why is social media so big for businesses? One, you think it's the perception of it's free advertising, which I'll talk about not over promoting on social media as well. But the main reason why social media is important for local businesses or any business is the sheer numbers, the fact that there are billions of people just all across social media. So a couple of quick stats here. So as of October 17th, 2021, Facebook has about 2.895 billion monthly active users. And then Instagram has about 1.3, YouTube 2.29 billion, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger 1.3 billion. So I throw those numbers out there to show you that with that volume of people across these different platforms, your target audience is more than likely on one or multiple of these platforms. And stats say people usually have about 6 social media profiles across the different networks that are out there. So people are out there on social media, they are using it. One of the first main things that I hear from business owners about social media is, 1, I don't like it. 2, I don't have time. And to put it bluntly, you can't afford not to be there. Your competition is on social media. Some of them may have better social media marketing plans to where they're engaging better with the audience, where they're reaching more people on a regular basis, which is something that you will learn and need to start doing as well. The one, another thing that business owners attempt to do on social media that you're really shooting yourself in the foot is over promotion. Social media is supposed to be social. You're supposed to connect with people, but it does have specific business purposes that you can utilize as well. The only problem is if every post that comes from your business page is buy from me, buy this, I need this, hey, I'm selling now, I have a promotion now. If all of your posts are only about buy from me, and I'm selling, you are going to turn off your audience 100% of the time. What you should be trying to do.
Sorry,
what'd you
I was
say?
going to say the same is exactly true for your newsletter, right? Like, you have to be social.
So
yeah.
In marketing, you need to utilize something called the 80-20 rule. 80% providing value, 20% promotion. On social media, I've said over the last few years is probably 90-10. 90% provide value, 10% promotion. What does that mean? For example, let's say you're a cleaning business, local, and you're really trying to get more clientele locally within your surrounding radius or whatnot. You can't always be on there, hey, I'm here, hire me, we're a cleaning company. Start doing things like providing value to where you become a resource for people to seek out your page on a consistent basis. They keep coming back because you're providing valuable information. Cleaning company, let's say they start providing posts about how to do green cleaning in your home on your own, how to use white vinegar for cleaning purposes, how to clean a coffee pot with, some of those little tips that don't really take away from the overall services or value of the business itself, but it gives people something that they can do at home on their own for that particular business niche. And then they can say, you know what, I have such and such going on in my home. Maybe I'll just go visit their page and see if they said something about it. You become a resource. You become the expert in the field for them locally or nationally, however your reach is. They begin to come back over and over to your page, and then they start seeing these promotions for your business. Hey, we're located right here in Hillsborough, such and such address. We serve the surround, 25-mile radius. Check us out if you need help. Holiday times come up. Who wants to clean during Thanksgiving? Don't do it. Let us do it for you. Start putting little stuff like that out, around holidays, around those promotional offers. So that's some of the power of social media, but you have to utilize it correctly. You can't oversell and become an authority to where people seek you out and then eventually want to use your services, start referring to you. They start seeing you more often because you're posting on a regular basis. One thing I hate that I've had clients do it before, you start your social media page. Let's say you start your Facebook business page, January 2020. Well, no, let's not use 2020. That was a bad year. Never mind. Let's go 2018. Okay. And then by June, you're so busy with the particulars of your business. You're licensing, you're doing some networking, you're trying to, really make your business grow, and you're finding that you're losing time posting on social media. So now 6 months to a year has gone between your first post and any post in between and the current time. What you'll find is when people are doing searches, they're not doing just Google searches to find businesses. They're doing Facebook searches. They are dropping comments on their Facebook personal pages or in their groups. Do you know someone that does ABC, XYZ? And getting those recommendations even on those platforms. Now, if you have not posted in 6 months to a year, your business looks dead. I personally wouldn't even research your business anymore. I would go to the next one on my list, and see how active they are. How are they serving people? Do they have new reviews? You know, going back to Google, but then this is Facebook as well. There's a review system there. So social media is and should be a very big, important part of your overall marketing. And it does start low to no cost to start it. You may have to get some graphic design to get your cover images and everything done. But it's really great for local businesses just because of the sheer numbers. But learn to utilize it, learn to connect, learn to build community, because that's what social media is. But it's really, really great for brand awareness locally and reaching your target audience. Do you have anything to add to social media, or do we go into some of the tools they can use? So we have some social media management, some creation tools, and everything that I have.
Yeah. So Amy had asked about, is it worth boosting a listing on Facebook? And there's another question from Ray I want to get to. And then I want to also make sure we talk a little bit about LinkedIn, which we may be covering.
Yes.
So let's start with the question from Amy about, is it worth boosting a listing on Facebook?
So Amy, are you referring to a real estate listing? Or what type of listing, or just a post in general?
Just a post in general. I actually am a virtual stager, and so when I do posts, I actually am advertising the listing that I did a virtual stage for, where I'm not really it's kind of I'm putting the real estate actually out there first, and I'm kind of like secondary within that. So it's kind of a service that I'm kind of providing.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's worth boosting or not.
It's 50-50. At times, yes and no, it really depends. But in this situation, I would say yes, because one, you're doing virtual staging for real estate that's on the market, correct? So in that situation, yes, because it's going to reach a larger audience, and that's what you want. You want it to get in front of more people so that they're aware that this property that you staged is on the market for a buyer or a seller. So yes, but boosting is not the end all be all when it comes to marketing, advertising on Facebook. Boosting works in certain instances, but boosting does not have all of the additional targeting, specific targeting that's on the back end of running a full ad campaign. There's a difference between boosting and ad campaign. The setup is pretty similar, but your targeting for your ad campaign could be a little bit more detailed. And even for this listing scenario, yes, you can do a general boosting. Let's say you have a radius. Let's say you're in Hillsborough, you want to connect with people about 10, 15 miles around. You can do that, but you're going to be missing some additional detailed targeting aspects if you ran a full ad campaign. The boosting is great for real small budget. You just say, hey, I got $5, $10, $20 I want to throw into this. And then, you see Facebook will tell you, well, you could reach potentially 1,000 people, based on that budget, that's running for how many ever days you want to run it. Do that in that case, because you're going to get that listing in front of more people, which is what you want for the realtor you're working for. But also for realtors, a larger full ad campaign targeted towards buyers or sellers with specific interests. There are some things that you have to omit because it's housing. There are limitations with housing advertising across all the platforms now. So you may not be able to do specific demographics and income, because it goes against the fair housing policy. So you have to be careful which one you do, but they both serve their place. In this case, this works well for you, and an ad campaign will work even better than just boosting. But if it's quick, small budget, boost it. But make sure you have the targeting in there that you need.
Love it. Ray had asked, what are some of the important factors and indicators to consider towards your own personalized small business social media strategy?
So some important factors to consider towards your own, your voice, your target audience. How do you want to come off or across on social media? Are you informational? Are you humorous? I think those are the main ones that really come to my mind at first.
I always say, one thing I always say to clients too is making sure they're spending time on the social media platforms where their
Yeah.
target market is hanging out.
Yeah.
Right, which is why I spend time on LinkedIn. I'm also the marketing consultant who refuses to join Facebook, which I know makes you cringe, Titonian, and that is
Yes, I do.
okay. It does for a lot of people, but I've had the company 10 years and it's working. So, you know, it's you have to do what's authentic and feels right for you. If it's going to suck your will to live to be on it, then you need to find a
Yeah.
way around that. Is it hiring a consultant to help manage that for you? Is it just like some group therapy or something like that? You know, whatever it needs to be.
I would also make sure you take into consideration, like we're both saying, is be where your target market or your target audience is. You, just because there are how many ever social media platforms doesn't mean you have to be on all of them. You have to be on the ones that are relevant and matter for your business and your not just your business, but your target audience. If your target audience is on, let's say you have 15-year-olds. Let's say you have some sort of product that appeals to 15, you know, that teenage group. If you're not on TikTok, you're missing that age group. And I don't touch TikTok, you know, and I do a lot of social media for businesses and whatnot, but that's just not the target audience that I'm comfortable with going after and targeting and being on those networks and connecting with them. But if that applies for your business, you have to be there. That means if that's your target age group, then you're open to TikTok and Snapchat. You know, which is different, and that audience is not on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn would not be good for, you can have your profile and everything there, but if you're looking for that same demographic, you're not going to find them on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a business professionals, it's more B2B, while you're doing B2C, business to consumer. So you have to pick and choose what, and there's information out there that'll kind of steer you to tell you for what business niche, what social media platform performs well for particular niches. So research that to help you decide which ones are best for you, or, you know, ask someone that knows.
Yeah, I always ask clients too, right? Like that's I always encourage clients, ask. If you don't really know, ask where are you hanging out, where are you guys engaging? I want to be mindful of our time. So let's talk a little bit about LinkedIn, and then share a couple of tools, and then I think free downloads, and then let's open it up for questions.
Yep.
If we haven't, we're kind of keeping an eye on all that anyway. So Titonian and I are really big fans of LinkedIn, and making sure that you have your profile fully filled out, up to date, your headshot on there, all of those fun things. You can also create a LinkedIn business page for the company. So if you have staff, that's a really great way to make sure that all the branding and everybody is properly connected. Another fun thing about LinkedIn that I like are, well, a few things, but the business showcase pages. So if I have a free resource or service, you can create a showcase page for that. But you can also write articles. So instead of just doing posts, you can do articles that are original content to LinkedIn, which can be really helpful. But don't miss LinkedIn. I think a lot of people can think it's Facebook for boring people, and sometimes it is. But they've done a lot of great work lately on it, I think. And so it's definitely just one of those places you need to make sure you're spending time. I also use it as a follow-up tool for networking. So I talked about that stack of business cards you got at Wake Up Hillsborough that you didn't ask for permission to add to your newsletter list. I connect with them on LinkedIn. So great to meet you last week at that event. Would love to connect with you here. It is one more touch point when you're trying to follow up with folks and trying to keep on their radar. And if you continue to engage on social media, like Titonian just said, you need to make sure you're also engaging with people and talking and active on your social media platforms. They're going to see your name pop up and realize that you're still alive and kicking. And then when the time is right, they may reach out to you for a referral. I mean, it happened to me like a year ago, where somebody was like, we met before I started Yellow Dog Consulting 10 years ago. And she's like, I have some friends, my friends' parents have done this business and they need some help. And I think you can help them with it. And it was just because she had seen my regular updates and posts on LinkedIn over the 12 years since we originally met at different companies. So it does work. What am I went through a bunch of little stuff there with LinkedIn.
Yeah, no,
what
it's
am I
a
forgetting?
lot. Yeah, it's a lot. So another point regarding LinkedIn for B2B purposes, if you're a B2B business, LinkedIn is great for you to be on because it gives you direct access to the main decision maker. What you have to do is send a connection request. You know, don't start off all salesy. I mean, we all get those. I've probably done some before as well. And I have, you know, a messaging sequence for LinkedIn as well. So, and build that as well. You know, talk to Elizabeth. She can probably help you with a messaging sequence for LinkedIn as well. But for B2B purposes, you have your target, the decision maker for the target audience you're looking for. So let's say me, for example, I'm doing digital marketing, and this week I want to reach out to medical spa sales representatives, meaning they're selling equipment to medical spas. I want to talk to those sales reps because they have a relationship and a book of business with the business owners at medical spas. But I can go directly to the sales reps as well and say, hey, how about we build some sort of referral process? You know, if you send someone to me, I can incentivize it for you. You know, that, and which could potentially add an extra stream of revenue for that sales rep. Or I can go straight to the medical spa business owners, be like, hey, I see you on a medical spa and such. I'd love to, I've worked with medical spas on a regular basis. I would love to connect and share with you what I do. You know, maybe some sort of intro message like that. So that gives you, that takes the gatekeeper out of your prospecting, it gets rid of the middleman, kind of. So you keep that in mind, especially if you're doing B2B. So what is
Abby's question was about, should the articles be different content than blog posts? And I would say yes. So part of it is an SEO thing, which I am not the person on this call qualified to speak on. But part of it is an SEO thing that you want it to be original content on that. The way that I cheat that system is my newsletter content is always original content that just goes to my list. So about a month later, my newsletter is always 3 things and a picture of my dogs. And so those 3 things, I kind of tweak it. If it's something that's, I might tweak it a little bit. And then I'll pull that as an article. So if you go look at my article history, it's always 3 something, something, something. And so, but do you want to speak to the articles at all, Titonian?
No, I think
okay.
That's you're the expert there. That's not my thing. Other than SEO stuff. But what I will add is overall everything that we're trying to tell you about. I mean, it kind of falls within certain categories. It's ways to attract new clients, ways to expand your network, and ways to grow your presence online. And all of that combined will get more eyes on your business. But it's not passive. So don't just create your social media profiles. Don't just create your Google My Business profile. Don't just create your website thinking it's out there, they'll come. No, that's not how it works. There's some work that you have to do on all of this.
All of it. And it's not just one and done either. Like, I think a lot of people think, well, I posted it, I tweeted it. And it's like, but fun fact, not everybody is on Twitter at the same exact moment that you are to see that tweet. And there's thousands coming through their feed. So posting it a few times in a few different places to make sure that it sticks. So that kind of goes to social media tools, scheduling things out. Okay, this week it's on, I do it, but it's like this week it's on Twitter, this week it's on LinkedIn, 3 weeks later it's on my LinkedIn business profile. So there's a couple, and I'll tweet it a few different, when I schedule my newsletter, I tweet about it a few different times over the course of a couple of weeks. I'll post that, and I'll post it to LinkedIn like the next day. And then a couple of weeks later, I'll post it on my LinkedIn business profile if I remember, and then I'll post it on Google My Business as well. And then if I remember, I'll go to Instagram and post it there, which I'm terrible about with that business profile on Instagram, but don't tell Titonian. It's probably because I'm not on Facebook to connect it all together.
Yeah. So what are some tools, not like what everything Elizabeth just said probably sounds to you like, God, how much time is this going to take for me to post there, post there, post there? So there are tools that you can use for social media management to assist you as a business owner. And some are free or low cost tools that you can use. If you're utilizing Instagram business profile and Facebook business profile, you could easily use Facebook Creator Studio. It's free. Facebook, and once you connect your Facebook and Instagram profile together, they both will be found and housed within Facebook Creator Studio, which will allow you to cross-post between both of those platforms and schedule future date or however you want to do it. So that's free. There are other big name software that you all probably heard of. In fact, I want to put in, Elizabeth, can you put in Facebook Creator Studio link if you can?
Sure. The other one, the one that I use is Buffer.
Yeah,
there's a free $5 and $10 version for that. So I will grab those while you.
Yeah. So, and like some other tools, like Elizabeth just said, Buffer is one. Hootsuite is a bigger name brand as well that you all may have heard before. Later is another one you can use really for Instagram posts. No, is that Later? Later and Planoly. But there are so many others out there that have a free or low cost version for you to get started. And that way you can free up that posting time that you're thinking like, man, it's going to take me forever to do all of this across. Let's say you have 3 networks. Let's say you have your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter accounts, and you're sitting here thinking, I don't have time to sit here and figure out when, where to post and all that. But you do have to find the optimal time. Some of these tools will give you the best time to post, which is really important to get the most engagement for every post that you have, to get the most eyes on what you're doing. But some that don't, then you'll have to start figuring out based on the numbers that you see. But these will take you from, let's say you previously maybe 10 to 15 hours trying to figure out or plan your month schedule. You can do it probably within a few hours, and have your next week, 2 week, 3 weeks of post schedule. So if you have anything else about social media managers, because my next one is some creation tools.
We have about 13 minutes left. So I'm wondering if we want to just throw some of those in the comments.
Yeah.
Some of those creation tools there. Ray had asked about our thoughts around referral incentives for clients. Do you have a totally biased opinion on that, or do you want to share some stuff and I'll have one?
Biased. I'm for it. I'm one, it helps generate more business for you. It builds and also it builds a relationship with another business owner that thinks very highly of you, that speaks praises to their clients about the services you provide. So true, they're incentivized, but it drives business, and I want to drive more business.
I always track too. So I have a big spreadsheet of all my clients and where they came from so that I can always make sure I thank them. So for my business, it's always a little different of, it's not necessarily a referral incentive, but I do always make sure to thank whoever referred that client or that book of business to me. I can track one person who made one referral that was responsible for 35% of my business in 2020.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, so it does track, and that's a big thing. My business coach always says, what you measure matters. You can't test it if you don't know what's going on. One other thing that Titonian and I both wanted to make sure we talked about today was free download options. And that's a great lead magnet. It's a great kind of evergreen thing that you can post on social media as a tool, as a resource. And so to lead by example, we both have free resources we wanted to share with you today. So do you want to talk about yours that I just threw in the chat there?
Well, yeah, that's my overall link. But if you click on that link, it'll take you, it's my link page. But if you go on there, you'll see free download, which is benefits of social media marketing for businesses, which is a great, it's a resource that you can use and put into action now, on top of everything that we're talking about today. But you can either get it from there or go to nesacemedia.com. If you're on my main website, a pop-up box will come up saying, hey, learn about the benefits of social media marketing for businesses. That may be something that you all could put into place on your website as well, to where they get that, visitors come in, they get that information, they get on your email list. And then, like Elizabeth said, you start sending them your newsletter, your emails, your updates, and all of that. And they eventually become a client of yours as well.
Exactly. Oh, good. And awesome. Thanks for that, Ray. The other thing that I wanted to share with you was my free monthly marketing calendar. And so it gives you a week by week calendar of what you can schedule for yourself, and kind of encourages you to start thinking about things throughout the month. So keep an eye on that. And that's, again, a free download. And I coach you through a few different things with that as well. But yeah, having those free downloads, having those free resources is such a great way to grow your list. You will see that you get added to our list when you download these free things. It's a handy tool when you're speaking or networking. I think I even added it to my business card. So if we're out networking in person again and exchanging business cards, you'll even see that free offer there. So consider all the different ways that you can be sharing that information.
And if I don't mean to interrupt you, Bill. I know we're closing in on time, but I wanted to go back to the tools. If you look in the chat, I posted basically the tools that I wanted to kind of highlight and talk to you all about. I know we can't get through all of them, but there are some for stock images. If you need images for social media posts, there's sites there that I've listed. One big tool for creation for your social media, there's a free and paid version, is Canva. I mean, it's well known. Everyone, most people know about it. If you don't, feel free to go ahead, go create an account, mess around, create some posts for your social media. I think there's even video things on Canva. Now, I don't use it that often, but I have a social media manager that uses it more. So that'll take the place of something like Photoshop. You don't have to, Photoshop is very technical and it's a lot to learn in order to use it correctly, but Canva will give you a platform to create eye-appealing imagery for your social media profiles. And you can create the cover images, the profile images, all of that within that one software. Oh, and I think another thing that there's just so much. Utilize Facebook groups as well when you're utilizing social media, especially Facebook. Find what groups your target audience are in on Facebook and join those groups and become a thought leader in there. Answer questions. Answer questions when people post it that's relevant to you and your business that could potentially drive business to you. Be in there as a resource, and you'll find that will eventually turn into paid business for you as well.
One of the many perks of
that's
working
all I have,
from home.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, sorry, there's many perks of working from home was people showing up to drop something off and trying to get them to not ring the doorbell to freak out the dogs. So sorry for my distraction there for the last couple of moments. Yeah, I think we've covered hopefully an overwhelming amount of information for you today. What didn't we talk about that you were hoping we would talk about in these last 7 minutes? What questions do you have about things that we did talk about? What else do you have? All right.
I mean, any thoughts, concerns, hiccups, bottlenecks, within the business that we may have alternatives that could help you.
Mm-hmm. And we, if you subscribe to those 2 downloads that we recommended to you, you'll have access to our contact information, and you can always respond and ask questions along the way as you get stuck with things. So.
Well, how about this? Should we put our contact info in the chat so they can have it as well?
Should. Look at you.
Just in case.
Yes.
Well, I'm also noticing comments that this should be 2 hours.
Honestly, I'll tell you, between the two of us and the information between all of this, it's probably even more than 2 hours.
Right.
We really tried to condense and give you some of the best points we could, some starting points, but yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, we might be able to talk them into coming back again. maybe the first part of the year to start out the year. The other thing I would also point out, number one, save the chat, for heaven's sakes. There's a wealth of information in your chat, so don't forget to do that. Also, Elizabeth and Titonian, they do this stuff for a living. And so if you're overwhelmed and you're like, this is great, but I'm never going to do all this, you can hire them to help you do this. And they both are small business facing, right? So they understand about limited budgets. They have put together affordable opportunities for small businesses that can fit in almost any budget. And when you think about the exchange of currency for time and really getting results, I mean, you think about that as well. And I just, I know that I'm on the board of the Hillsborough Community Foundation, and, we're all volunteer, and we're never going to do any of this social media stuff, but we know someone who will. And Titonian has raised our image and our profile out in social media immensely. I think we've been working together for maybe 4 or 5 months. It's just been,
something like that.
yeah, just amazing. And Elizabeth, I follow her on LinkedIn and am constantly looking at her newsletters. And so these are folks, and it's a shameless, sales plug for these folks that help. But I just know that so many small businesses struggle with trying to figure out how to get it done, right? A lot of pressures on you, and these are resource, they're going to give you stuff for free, obviously, this past hour, but also they can come to you with a professional relationship that understands that your budgets are limited, and they'll find something that will tailor to at least maybe get you set up, so that it's like, well, okay, now it's manageable because now I understand it. But if the map just looks dizzying, think about reaching out to these folks.
Yep. Happy to walk you off the ledge anytime.
Yeah, so hopefully you all found the information useful. I think, like, we can't stress it enough. There's still more.
There's so much more.
Feel free to reach out to Elizabeth or myself.
Yep.
And just to share, like even Deanna just said, like I follow Elizabeth on LinkedIn as well. And I think what you'll see is practice what you preach. Some of the things that we talked about here today, you'll notice, just visit our social media profile. You'll see the tips that Elizabeth posts about how important email, a newsletter is, and some tips, some free tips that she gives to a whole B2B market out there that are very useful, that they can implement day one if they wanted to. And you'll find across some of my social media, there's a lot of social media stuff, the benefits, what is it, different niche posts and all of that. So you'll find that we do that a lot as well.
Feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn as well, because that's always a good thing to remind you to do, again, with the practicing what you preach. So connect with us on LinkedIn. All those fun things. So, and we're not going anywhere because we are on the board of the chamber. So for another time. So we're around, and Deanna knows how to hunt us down. So.
Well, it's interesting as we were sitting here chatting, and I was listening to you talk about, reaching out to your customers, and I'm thinking, okay, why have we never done like a small business solution series workshop survey after the fact and got, feedback from our participants and said, what else can we do? So you can all expect that you're going to be getting a very short survey monkey from me that will basically ask, what else can we do? What else are you interested in? I know we've done a program on Canva before that was very popular. Because it's one of those things that if you don't know what it is, it can seem a little overwhelming. And so those are some ideas, but definitely let us know if there are some particular topics. Our small business solution series workshops run twice a month. And so we're planning for 2022 and trying to set forward, educational programs that are going to be beneficial to our small businesses. And we need your help in doing that. So. All right, we are down to the last minute. I just want to thank Elizabeth and Titonian once again, and I want to thank all of you for spending your time with us. And I also want to thank Hawthorne Farm Athletic Club. They couldn't be with us here today, but they are a sponsor of our workshops, and they normally bring us a wellness moment. So I want you to all be thinking about that. As you leave this, be sure not to have gotten yourself stressed out with all the things you want to do now. Take a breath, breathe, and then call Elizabeth and Titonian and say,
Yeah, process it. You're going to have more questions as soon as we hang up. Exactly. Yeah. Get up, walk around the block, and then come back and like, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, that's a great point. Don't stress yourself out about it. It's a lot. And start like, as far as social media, start with one first. Don't say, oh, let me create these 6 new profiles across these, networks. Start with one, get comfortable there. And then, then make sure you incorporate the ones that are important for your business type.
Yeah, I would say your homework for the week is download our 2 free downloads.
Yeah.
It costs you nothing. And this week, read them, right? Like if you do one thing, read through them this week, and that will help you get started and help you hopefully find like, okay, here's what I can do next week. And if you can just do 1 or 2 things a week, start knocking through those lists and start doing it. But I know it's overwhelming, so don't.
Yeah, definitely though, if you do not have it yet, create your Google My Business profile.
Yes.
You have to.
Absolutely. You have to.
it's free. It's free.
Exactly.
Nothing better than
You don't
free.
get to come back to our next call if you haven't done it.
Yeah, right.
All right, folks, just a reminder, the next Small Business Solutions Series workshop will be held on November 17th. We have Matt Rouse with Hook SEO, and he's going to be talking about live events versus online events. So that will be a great one. Hope to see you then. Have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.